Hi, everyone. We are so excited about this. That's why we're laughing.
Oh my goodness.
So, if you've been paying attention, I've been talking about recruiting and retention, and I realized what better person to chat about it than Rwanda. So, Rwanda, tell us a little bit about you and why it matters that we're talking about this.
I'm super excited to be here with Anna. You know, we've been going over the recruiting and retention kind of stream for probably like a month and a half now. And for those of you that don't know, I retired back last August, so I've been a year retired from the military. And 17 years that I did in the military were actually in the Department of Retention. We call it career counseling, but essentially on the civilian side it would be called retention.
Yep. So, what we'll talk about is recruiting is the tip of the spear for retention. And so, actually, promotions and recruiting are literally the same thing. So, what we hope that you walk away with, business owners, executives, HR professionals, is that when you have good recruiting practices, retention becomes easy. You don't need to hold your hand or do kumbaya. Actually, you'll have high performers and people bought in that the team building is just icing on the cake. It's not necessary.
Yeah, we literally did a video not that long ago where we talked about motivation versus inspiration. And if you have a good recruiting process, then you're providing inspiration, right? And the motivation's already there because they love what they do, they love the organization they're in, and so it just makes your leaders within the organization, it makes their job that much easier.
Totally. Perfect. So I'm going to do a little recap, high level, so that way you can kind of get up to speed about what we've been talking about. And then I'm super excited to hear Rwanda's perspective from the military because let's be real. It's a behemoth. It's been around. It has the funds and finances to create a really rock star recruiting process. So why wouldn't we go to school on what the military has done? So what we do, and we train you, we do this. This is actually something we love to do because we want communities to thrive and we want happy employees, and that starts with right people, right C, standard processes. So anyways, we want to help establish the metrics for the job, which means the core competencies and tactical skills, because Gallup says one of the top 3 indicators of job satisfaction is I get to do what I love to do and what I'm good at every day. You don't need to be burned out or drained because a lot of times people are drained because they're not doing something that they're good at or that they enjoy. Just because they can do it doesn't mean that they get energized by it.
Yeah, and I'd like to say too, as like a type C personality, I want to know like what is my job description? Am I going to be good at it? And having that clear-cut guidance from the beginning makes a big difference for both sides, if I'm being honest.
1,000%, because you know how to hold them accountable and they know what's expected of them.
Yes.
And then standardized applications. A lot of times, I've done it myself. I showed up to an interview, I was sweating, I couldn't think, it seemed like I was on a date because I wasn't ready for it. If you have standardized questions, if you have yourself ready and prepared, then you will make a better impression, and you want to make a good first impression.
Yes, absolutely. We know that since COVID, even though you're the one conducting the interview, you're not just conducting the interview, you're actually getting interviewed as well, right? You're making a good first impression. Yep. If you want the top performers, then you need to be a top performer as well.
Ooh, that's a quote right there. Somebody tweet that. The other thing is have a comprehensive application process, because high performers, people that really want to work at your job, will go through and fill that out. And they're okay taking assessments. High performers are okay with you kind of evaluating them culture fit wise, and then job competency and skills wise.
And remember, your process is like a first impression as well. If the process is, bogged down and it's not seamless, or they're having to go back and redo, or, multiple steps, you might lose them.
Yep, totally. And then the last thing is kind of who do you have processes do you have to make sure that the right hire is made and it isn't based on personal preference or somebody putting in a good word for somebody, or even just, hey, we need to put them in the seat because empty. No, that's the worst mentality. It's better to leave the seat empty than throw a body in there.
Yeah, and being intentional in the questions that you ask.
Yes.
I like to always say, bring in your top leaders, especially if they're going to be working for that individual. It's good to get that insight, that buy-in, to update the job descriptions, to know the quality, like the different characteristics and stuff of the people that they're looking to hire in those positions.
Totally. So let's start with metrics for the job. We actually have what we call a job scorecard. We have the business owner, we have it, we do it ourselves. We write down what are the core values that you need, what are the skill sets that you need, who are they going to be reporting to, what should they not do? Because as a business owner, a lot of times we're just like, hey, Rwanda will do it because she's reliable and dependable, but that's actually not her job. So we actually need to be bringing people in so that they're clear on what they need to be doing and what are the skills that they need to be showing up with.
Yeah, and when you understand from the beginning the expectation and the skills that are required for a position, even if, you know, as you're hiring, even if they don't meet it, like, or you're asking them to do something that's outside of that and they don't hit the mark, then you can be like, okay, well, this wasn't a part of it when we originally hired, and we did ask them to do it. They're not quite there, but that's not really their skill set. So just having a really good understanding of the job description, the skill sets that are required, and the people that you're putting in those positions goes a long ways.
1000%. And then culture fit. You want people, Unique always says, embed your DNA into your organization. You want people that have your DNA, that want the best for the company. Because let's be real, sometimes you have to take the L and do what's best for the organization as opposed to what's for you. So when you have somebody bought into the culture, when you have those core values as one, accountability and metrics, and gives people the feeling of, oh, this is the company, I am being who the company needs. Those core values help you hire, they help you vet, they help you make promotions, and they help people coach people out.
Yeah, and a lot of people, when I was getting ready to retire, a lot of my coworkers that were retiring alongside of me, they were actually looking at, am I going to be a culture fit? Because they had options, like, am I going to fit in this organization? Am I going to be, do they align with who I am and where I'm going and what I want to do? And those are the people that you actually want. And so making sure that your whole process kind of embodies who you are. And some organizations, if we're being honest, don't really know that. Do some figure out, you know, what their core values are or what their vision and mission is. But if you don't have those from the jump, it's really hard for somebody to come on the team and kind of embody something that's not really there.
That's ambiguous. And we're not even going to talk about vision statement and mission statement, but we could talk about that. We do whole workshops on that. But basically, high performers also want to know where you're going and where they fit. Like, I'll take a pay cut if I know that my work is going towards something that matters, and that I'm not alone in that. And I know Rwanda is exactly like that too. So that's an aside. Hit us up if you want us to talk about it, because we will. And then finally, leadership level. You need to know if this person is going to be a senior leader, they need a level of emotional intelligence that you can't expect everyone to have the same level. So in your job description, in your role, in your scorecard, you actually are thinking through what level of communication skills do they need? Do they need to be a situational leader, which means they step in or they watch or they observe? You just need to evaluate, like, what are you looking for skills-wise?
Yeah, in the military, so when you originally come in and you're getting recruited, they have like set basic standards. You have to be able to score a certain score on your ASVAB, on your ACFT, you know, your physical and mental health, all those things, right? That's just the basics. And from there, they let you choose a job, and then they go from there. But once you're getting recommended for promotion, it's a completely different process because there's a different level of expectation, right? You have the basic requirements for it that you have to pass, which are almost like similar to joining the military. But then you have to be recommended by one of your leadership, right? Somebody on your leadership. And even after you're recommended, then you have to go to what we call a promotion board. And at the promotion board, it's like an interview process, essentially. They're gonna interview you for that leadership position. They're gonna check your confidence and how you communicate when you sit in front of them. They're gonna look at your appearance to make sure you're presentable. They're gonna make sure that you're knowledgeable in the areas that they need you to be knowledgeable in, because in the military, it's about policy regulation, because there's a lot of legal, ramifications for being a leader. And then on top of that, they want to know your character traits and how are you going to respond in certain leadership situations. So sometimes they'll ask you situational questions. And last but not least, what I really love about it too is they make it unbiased as unbiased as they can, because there's a panel of leaders. So they're going to have different leadership perspectives, different leadership expectations for that organization. So it's not just one person calling the shots. So and you have to get like a certain score or majority, recommendations from there.
Later, I'm going to put Rolanda on the spot and have her tell you the Star Spangled Banner story. She knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've created what the role needs and what that person needs to embody. Now you need buy-in from your team. So studies show that the lower that person is to hire someone that's not as qualified or is not as a high performer. Because if you have that person, if that person is insecure about their job, they don't want to be replaced. So you need standardized processes. You also want someone who's going to make a hire that's best for the team and not for them. You don't want somebody that has the like put in a good word, I'm going to hire you. You want someone that's like, you know what, are they what we need for the team? And then 3, you don't want somebody hiring somebody that's just like them. Like, let's be real. I want people that are funny and goofy and want to make small talk and want to hang out. But we don't need two. And we don't need 2 Annas. That's too much. Yeah, we'd be talking the whole day and laughing and screaming, and then nothing gets done. So you want people that think bigger picture.
Yeah, and you don't want 2 Rolandas, because then everything's going to be serious, not fun, and nobody's going to be motivated. We're going to be just working all day long, checking tasks off the list.
Wow, a little Eeyore over there. I'm just kidding. So yeah, get group buy-in, and that's through, hey team, these are the skills we've set. This is the leadership level, and these are you already know the core values. People should know the core values. You should look at them and evaluate people based on them. So then the next thing is...
Hold on, can I do a little shameless plug?
Yeah.
We do assessments all the time, right? And a lot of people talk about how Anna and I kind of work together. We are complete opposites, but it works very well for us. Through a lot of like coaching, you need coaches, it's obviously, but coaching and understanding our different personality types and our communication styles has gotten us to where we are today. And so we do that as well. We do it in the form of workshops. We have an awesome leadership platform, just different tools that you can use once you bring them on the team, or before, like Anna said, before you bring them on the team, to understand the different gaps you have, you know, who you already have on the team, the gaps you want to fill, depending on, you know, your culture and your industry, because those things matter as well. But just a couple things that we do.
Oh, that's so good. I can't tell you how many crucial conversations we've had. I'm like, are we about to have a crucial conversation? Because you never say that.
If I text like something out of the ordinary, she's like, oh, because I'm very passive, and so, but I think I've come a little ways.
No, you've come a long way. I think actually me noticing it shows that I'm like, okay,
you've come
maybe
a long
she
ways
needs
too,
to,
yeah.
maybe she's trying to communicate something. Let me step back. But anyway, so creative referral sources. We talk about I can't find quality candidates and this and this and this. Are you expecting them to land on your doorstep, or are you actually doing the one-click apply, or just kind of spraying and praying and hoping? Talk to your former colleagues. Talk to people that you know used to have that role, because they're likely to know somebody that has that role. Or we all know there's connectors. I can think of like 5 people that I know I go to every single time I need a connection. Find those people. Be proactive and not reactive.
Yeah, I used to say this in the military all the time. Like, you're gonna get out of it what you put into it. So be intentional, be creative. You know, and then we're not even talking about generations right now, but like, it matters. Understanding who you want on your team, knowing who you need on your team, and then adjusting to make sure that you're in a position to recruit accordingly makes a big, big difference.
Yep, totally. And then having a digital presence. Rolanda, I'm going to let her take point on this conversation, but people are Googling you. They're looking at your Facebook. They're looking at your LinkedIn, or lack thereof. And let's be real, lack thereof it's not the worst, but it really doesn't help not having that footprint out there for people to see.
Yeah, we talk about culture, right? And I tell you how a lot of my coworkers, as they're transitioning and they're looking for positions, they're gonna get on there. We say Google, but at the end of the day, really, it's your social media links, right? They want to see what the environment and the culture is like. And so, one, making sure that you have something established, but even more importantly, making sure that what you have established is actually portrays what your culture is, right? And so then that way, the last thing you want to do is portray something that you're not. You get somebody in, you've done the training, they're hired, they're in it, and then they're out because it's not what they thought. So making sure that you have a presence, and then that presence accurately represents your organization is important. Yeah.
You need to keep what you promise. What you put out there, you have to deliver. And then quality interviewing. We've kind of teed this up, but there's ways to ask questions that actually can check if that person is going to embody your core values in your questioning. Like that, that's the prime time to be checking what languaging are they using. Are they, when they talk about job transitions, are they playing victim and saying that it was their boss's fault, or are they speaking positively about that old organization? Because even if you have a bad experience with an organization, you don't have to badmouth it, because that actually doesn't help anyone. You can say it wasn't a good fit, or here's what happened, here's where I dropped, here's whatever. Like, use the languaging and do tasks. Like, do a task-based job interview and have them do something on the spot, because you can chat GPT, you can Google, you can get a resume written in seconds by putting it online. But when you got them in the room, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, and we've had a couple of clients that have told us different things that they do, different questions.
Yep.
And sometimes you just want to know like how quick they are on their feet and how creative they are in kind of thinking through things and how they communicate it, right? We had one who talked about how describe a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah, do a pitch.
Yeah, do a pitch of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which seems kind of weird, but like if you have good, quality candidates and you want to just see how they're able to do that and it fits the position, or the personality type that you're trying to fill, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Or the animal one.
I know.
We're not going to say what Anna said, but
Yeah, we're not.
but we had one that would ask the candidate, if you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be and why, right? Because it says a lot about the candidate, and it kind of gives it, you get to see them think through something and answer on the spot. So there's a lot of boxes that you can check with different questions.
Yep. And the PB&J one, the role was front facing, so they need to be a good communicator. They need to be able to think on their feet. And the office is the office of innovation, so you have to be thinking creatively. So that question was literally an embodiment of the core values of the organization and of the role, or organization and the role. That person knows how to communicate and appease people and think on their feet. So it was like a perfect, exactly. It was a perfect kind of vetting opportunity. Now, selecting the right candidate. I think Rowanna's done an excellent job of kind of teeing this up with the hiring board. But when you have standardized everything, the skill set, the culture fit, and the leadership competency. So this part should be easy. I mean, you should already be able to know, like, all right, Anna's too loud, and this is an accounting position. She's going to be terrible. Rowanna might do it, but let's look at all these other things. Like, this should be a breeze instead of, I don't know, maybe not, etc.
Yeah, it's almost like the interview and selection process should be the easy part, right? And everything coming up to it, that's where the hard work and the preparation goes into, to make sure that once you get there, you're okay. We've already done the work, so now let's just fill in the boxes.
Put it on the table. And we actually have tools where we help you leadership assessment wise. You can see your team, and you can see where that person fits in your team, the DISC and the Enneagram. You can see, do they have the type? Well, there's 9 assessments, so I'm just listing those 2. And then we also have what we call a draft board, where you kind of place that person. Do you need a number 1 team leader that's really going to uphold the values and you're cultivating for the next level? Do you need a number 2 person who is the bench? That's kind of what you call them, is you're cultivating them, you're bringing them in slowly, but they are the next evolution, but you don't have the same expectations. Are they the 4th is the specialist, which means they don't care about the company, they just want money. So you can hire those, but hire them very discriminately, and also have them in roles that aren't leadership roles, where they're doing a task in a role. So we literally have a draft board to give a visual for you to say, like, all right, Anna's number 2, so in this role we need a number 2. That's fine, so we'll bring her on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then finally, compensation negotiation process. I don't think we talk about this enough, because people are willing to take a lower amount of money for the right reasons, if you will. So I'll back up and do a little NFL analogy. So that the Patriots are a behemoth of an organ. They have a crazy win record. The Patriots don't pay the most. When you look at the different NFL teams, they're not the ones offering the highest paycheck, because that person is joining a winning culture in a winning organization. You don't have to be the highest paying to have the best candidates.
Yeah, and we know, like, as a small business, sometimes it can be hard, right?
Yes.
To kind of fill in the positions, even if you have the best candidate, but you can't give them the pay that you want to or that they deserve. Well, during the process, if you have the right questions and you're getting to know them, you're going to know, what other things you could offer. Maybe it's flex time, maybe it's, hybrid working, different things like that. A lot of times, top performers, or even like the opportunity to grow and scale with the business, and being transparent, through the process always. Those are things that you could probably leverage as a small business owner versus having to try to find a way to make, something fit that can't fit.
Yep. For me, any company that says they will develop me professionally that's high on my list. That trumps money because I know that they want me to be moving up. They care about me developmentally instead of just like, all right, stay in this role. This is what we'll pay you. So, yeah, if they're a family person, kind of what Rolanda was saying, if they are a family person, give them PTO, give them flex time, give them hybrid work, so that way they know you are listening and they know that you care about them.
And I also like to, I know we're not talking vision and mission and stuff, but vision, a lot generationally, like a lot of generations now are looking towards, well, what's my impact going to be? I'll take a less paying job if I know my impact and the vision is going, to something that I really care about and I support.
Yep, totally. So I now want to put Rolanda on the spot and ask for any war stories because I'm telling you, I have 2 stories that I want to hear. You get to choose which one you want to say first.
So I'm going to do, since you already put me on blast, I'm going to do the Star Spangled Banner one. Okay, so when I was in the military, and this one wasn't for like a promotion or anything like that, it was just for competition. And there was different levels of it, and I want to say it was at the corps level, which is a pretty high level, right? So stakes are high, there's a lot of us competing. And you have an idea of what they're going to ask you, but you really never know. Because a part of it is they want to test your confidence. And so sometimes they'll do different things to kind of throw you off, right? Like they might answer a phone call or do something on their paper or talk, because there's different board members. They'll talk to each other in the middle of the questions they're asking you, or sometimes they'll get up and walk out, right? So you really never know. They're testing to see how you're going to handle the pressure, what you're going to do, because it is very, high stakes. So anyway, this is the first and only time that I've had this happen, though. One, I don't sing. She sings. She's on, like, at church, she's on all this stuff. But I do not sing, right? Especially not in front of people. And if I'm in my car and you're my kids, we're good. But other than that, I don't. And so I walk in and I shut the door. I'm still like, you have to march to your position in the middle of the room. Your chair's in the middle of the room. You got a panel of very high-ranking individuals that are all there to evaluate everything. How you look, how you move, how you communicate, your knowledge level, everything, right? So as soon as I shut the door and I start taking my first step, the president of the board says, start singing the Star Spangled Banner. And like you're singing it, and like keep in mind, a lot of soldiers will mess it, like because you're trying to be perfect. Like as you forget how to march. It's like a thing, right? It happens a lot. And so because you have to march like going opposite, and so a lot of people will forget. So you're trying to keep everything moving the way it's supposed to. And now I got to sing the Star Spangled Banner, which I really don't know maybe a couple words of it. So I start singing what I think is the Star Spangled Banner, and I get to where I'm right in front of the president of the board, and I report to the president of the board, and the first thing he says after that is, what kind of country rendition of the Star Spangled Banner is that? And I'm like, one, I'm from North Dakota, so I'm not from like the South or the country. I don't have a country accent, or at least I don't think I do. But for whatever reason, that day I sang the Star Spangled Banner in a country accent for the president of the board.
Talk about thinking on your feet.
Yeah, it was, and I kept my composure. That was the whole goal of it. And so a lot of times if you know what the expectation is, they're going to try to throw things at you. So you just like, okay, I dodged that one. It wasn't about how well I could actually sing. It was just about, can I keep it together?
Yep.
And, not trip and stumble over everything.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now story number 2. Again, and she didn't say this, but she was nationally recognized as Career Counselor of the Year. So she knows what she's talking about. So anyways, number 2.
I've been through the circle quite a few times. Okay, so that one was when I was the one being interviewed, okay? So when you start off going to these boards and stuff, you usually start off, you always start off on the other side where you're the one getting interviewed and stuff like that. But eventually you get to the point where you're on the other side and you're doing the interviewing. And like I said, you're kind of there to throw them off, but I always like to be the good guy. And so I would always like try to relax them and, talk to them and stuff like that to try to keep it like their nerves down and stuff. But I've done this for my whole military career. It was like 20 years at this point. And I had one of my soldiers going through the process, and I just happened to be a board member as well. And how you kind of like think out loud? Well, that's a no-go. Like, you can't do that in a board. And I had never, especially not to this level, never seen somebody literally just think out loud for every question. And so this soldier, and had, like I said, it was one of my soldiers. His office was like right next to mine. But anyways, he comes in, and from the beginning, like everything, he's like thinking out loud, like actually speaking the things he's thinking, and then he'll come and answer the question. I couldn't keep it together. By the end of the board, I was like in tears, laughing so hard, and I talked about it like for the rest of my career, clearly even after it, to the point where like I would go in his office randomly and be like, "You remember that time?" And he told me, like, you know, at the end of the day, he told me prior to, he's like, I am not good at these. I'm probably going to fail. And he did not do very well. But he was a good sport about it. And the only thing I could think of is, like, how did you make it this far in, like, you know, this many boards? And because you have to, like, in order to get promoted to the level that he was at, like, you have to have gone to at least 3 or 4, you know, boards. And so I was kind of surprised. But he was such a good leader in NCO that, you know, his work ethic and stuff spoke for itself. He
His
just was
character.
not, he just was not built for boards or the interview process. So
Right. So that was a what not to do. So if you're the one trying to be hired, that's a what not to do. Don't think out loud.
yeah,
Strategic pauses go a long way.
yeah, for
But
sure.
anyways, we're thankful that y'all kind of tuned in. We love this. We want organizations where everyone says, thank goodness it's Monday. And you know how we get there is putting people in their strength zone
Yeah.
and having a culture where people want to work. And that is through recruiting the right candidates.
Yeah, and hopefully soon we could talk about like the process side of it because I love the process
Yeah.
side as well.
All right. Stay tuned. We'll do the process side. So, all right, y'all. Have a good rest of your day.